Hey everyone, thanks as always for tuning in. So I'm going to share with you guys a prototype that's on loan. This is called the Wasp and it is from VDK or VDK Co. So Vlad has come out with a number of interesting knife designs over the last, I want to say maybe two and a half years or so. Some of the ones that you guys are definitely going to be familiar with are going to be the War Admiral, this cleaver. This is probably his most popular model. He recently came out with an integral, the Impaler, and I am a huge fan of integrals. Very cool knife. He also has done a really small one, which is the Pharaoh, and the model that is not here is called the Pioneer of the Nile. And this knife, the Wasp, is kind of a blend of two different models. So as you can see, it has the same handle as the War Admiral here. And it has the blade kind of the Pioneer of the Nile, so it's a blend of two current models. You can go to his website if you want to see what the Pioneer of the Nile looks like. So anyways, prototype, which means that there will be some changes before the actual production run comes out. You guys can sign up for the pre-order. I think right now the lead time is 2 to 3 months before pre-orders land, but again, you can find more info on his website. So we'll go through the specs, overall impressions, details, all that good and fun stuff. Couple size comparisons to start off with. Of course, we have the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, similar-ish in length. We have the Kershaw Dividend, which I think is just going to be my new kind of small size representation here. Let's go tail end, that's what it looks like. And then one additional, just what was in my pocket today, was the Benchmade Grizzly Ridge. So just for kicks and oodles. There we go. Alright, so specs. Blade length on this thing is actually 4 inches. Handle length is 4.3. Overall 8.3 inches. Some obviously titanium, M390 blade steel. And let's look at some of the other specs here. We'll keep the Pair 2 here. Let's move the Grizzly Ridge. Man, the action is so good. All right, and let's bring up the War Admiral again. So overall length 8.3, 4-inch blade, 4.3-inch handle. Oh, it does weigh in on my scale at 5.7 ounces. So some of the important specs we'll want to keep in mind here is going to be like the handle thickness. This is a fairly thick handle at 0.591 inches. Let's see what the actual War Admiral was. 0.50 inches. So, for all intents and purposes, this is pretty much, 0.6 inches thick, which is, it's fairly substantial. So, if you like thicker knives, if you like bigger knives, you'll like this one. If you prefer thinner knives, then perhaps, something like the War Admiral at, 0.1 inches is a better fit in the hand. I think the Pair 2 is 0.5. 0.45. So let's take a look at that. Difference in thickness there. Blade stock is 0.16 inches, and the blade stock on the Pair 2 is 0.145. Let's look at the thickness behind the edge, which I have not measured up to this point. Or 0, good. Alright, trying to do this on camera. 0.24, we'll call it 0.25. So the thickness at the edge is actually the same as the Pair 2, which is 0.25. So this one is done in a hollow grind. I cut a little bit with it. It seemed to work well. Like it actually cut. Like when you tell me this is 0.16, it actually sliced better. I felt like it was cutting just as well as my Pair 2 or sliding through boxes here. And then the tip here, we have a flat grind. Let's look at that thickness on that one. I think it's going to be a little bit thicker. Let's see how much. Yeah, we'll call that 0.32. 0.31, 0.32. So a little bit thicker than the hollow grind, but I mean this thing sliced really, really well. Really nice satin finish. So I think that is it for the specs. Let me go through and kind of point out some of the different material choices throughout the knife. Let's move the other stuff out of the way. Now, just before filming this, I did put up a short 1-minute video on Instagram where I show the knife completely disassembled. I think that's adequate for kind of giving you guys a look at the inside without dedicating a video to it. So let's go through it. So M390 handles are titanium, done with this diamond texture. This pivot screw is titanium. This is given a bead blast. The pocket clip is titanium. The back spacer is titanium. So a lot of anodizing possibilities with this knife, I would say. So all the body screws are titanium as far as I could tell. Ceramic bearings, ceramic detent, really heavy skeletonized throughout. And again, you can see all of this stuff in the video that I posted on Instagram. I'll put a link down in the description box below, so you can just click over to it. Even if you don't have Instagram, you can watch it on a computer browser. Some interesting things as far as construction goes. So there is a stainless steel collar that connects the two different body screws. So these are both independently screwed into the stainless steel collar. Same thing with so that's a pivot screw, the body screws as well. There's a stainless steel collar in here, and so they screw into the stainless steel collar. They're not screwing directly into the titanium. So that's the case here and here. Another interesting thing right about here, there is a stainless steel stop pin that I guess just gives the back spacer or the back of the knife some extra strength from what I'm going to assume is kind of lateral forces. I didn't really know that it's necessary when you have two screw construction on the body, but I'm not an engineer, so I don't know everything. But anyways, I think that's pretty much it. Again, go check out the video in the description box below. It'll show you exactly everything that you want to see. Now, when I took it apart and I cleaned it and I used my preferred lubricant, it actually improved the action a little bit. So while we're on that subject, the action is actually a little bit smoother, a little bit nicer now that I took it apart and cleaned it. Granted, this is a prototype, so there may be some additional refinement before the full production model comes out. Let's talk about the changes real quick. So I believe what Vlad told me is he's going to go ahead and have them chamfer in here in the lock bar, just to make it a little more comfortable, a little easier to access. I think that is a fantastic upgrade or design tweak here from this prototype. And this could be proof of concept. It might be, I don't know, pre-prototype essentially. I didn't ask him, but anyways, chamfer in here. The lock bar is raised a little bit from the show scale, so it's easier to access, but again, the chamfer will make it a little bit nicer, and in the hand you cannot feel that difference in height between the two sides, which is nice. So that's one potential change. The other is he told me they are going to add more space to that pocket clip because I cannot get this into my jeans, which means I didn't really carry this one that much. So the standard pocket clip will have more space, and then Vlad has been making custom pocket clips for his various models, the War Admiral, which I showed you, and some of the other ones. And I imagine, I don't know if he's going to do custom back spacers, but I don't want to put any words in his mouth. I don't see why not. And if not Vlad, then there are other guys who mod knives so you could do a lot of customizing with this knife. It's essentially a blank canvas. So let's take a look at the blade real quick here. I've kind of jumped all over the place in this video. Beautiful satin finish. My camera is definitely struggling to show it all off, but again, this is a prototype, but fantastic edge. The grinding is very, very nice, very clean, very consistent from side to side. It's just flawless. And this is M390 steel. On this one, there's no markings whatsoever, but on his other knives, this one just says VDK. I think the War Admiral, it just says VDK as well, so I'd anticipate, perhaps somewhere on this blade, it might be lasered VDK. Yeah, so they're all lasered VDK. This one probably somewhere on the blade. So that is probably another change. Large finger choil here, which is very comfortable. Even in my extra large hands, sometimes when people put finger choils, they might work for people's smaller hands, but not for me. Well, this one works for large hands. In fact, this entire knife really works well for large hands with that 0.6 thickness, the large finger choil. pretty comfortable grip there. So well designed in that regard, at least for larger hands. So that is pretty much everything. Jimping on the flipper tab works well. I haven't found myself slipping on this flipper tab at all. So let's see, anything else on the blade? Kind of a swedge across the top, no sharp edges. They did a pretty good job. I don't like when there's like a sharp 90-degree edge on the top here, and they have obviously removed that, or they've thought about that. So anyways, fixed angle system. It's going to be really easy to get your stones on there. You'll have to change direction and so forth. But anyways, so here's the handle, that diamond texture pattern. It's nice and grippy without being sharp, so I think this is well executed. Stainless steel lock insert, of course, with, I think it had an over travel stop. Let's see if I can verify. Yeah, there's an over travel stop as well. So, all the standard stuff. I mean, WE Knives fit and finish is actually quite good. Most of you guys watching have probably, well, hopefully most of you guys have handled something from WE at this point, but their fit and finish is excellent. So, yep. Pocket clip, again, that's going to be changed, but also full titanium. And even though I took this thing apart and put it back together, and I'm not the most patient or competent person, it went back perfectly centered with no problem at all. So that's always nice. Solid lockup. Again, and me as an amateur, I do not call myself a tinkerer. It went back together no problem. So that's always a good thing. And I think, that's pretty much it. Let me think if there's anything else that'll be changed. That's about it. So pre-order price, if I haven't mentioned it already, is I think it's $249. It's like $250-ish. I'll put it in the description box below. And then after pre-order, the normal price will be $295. So I don't know, you're saving like $50 or something if you do pre-order. But then there's the wait time, which is 2 to 3 months right now, or something in that range. So again, I don't work with Vlad or for Vlad, so if you want more details, you can always check on his Instagram or his website or his Facebook group or any of those other places that you can find him. So yeah, that is the Wasp. Overall, I think it's a nice design. Love the blade grind. I think this knife is geared towards someone with large hands. Someone with smaller hands and that thickness, they might find it just a little too big in their hand. But ergonomics are decent. They're decent on this knife. I wonder how they feel compared to the War Admiral here, which again is kind of the same. I think the thinner, kind of the thinner body width, just gives a little bit more secure grip in my hand. So, but overall ergonomics are pretty decent. When the pocket clip has some additional height, that may change the position of the pocket clip, but there's no sharp edges on it at all. So I don't anticipate that really affecting the ergonomics of the slightest. So again, really like the finger choil, the way that was executed. It's got adequate space for any hand size. Action is really good. This thing's really smooth. And WE Knives, they always break in. I have not carried or fidgeted with this thing or used it enough to fully break this thing in. So there's more to give in that regard. But anyways, I think it's always fun to kind of check out what Vlad does. Again, he's had some of the most unique designs that I can think of, in rather eclectic, just kind of whatever floats his boat, kind of all over the place. But people have really, I don't know, he has a pretty strong fan base, and they've really taken to his designs, kind of across the range here. So anyways, we will leave it there. Comments or questions, again, I'm happy to try to answer them, or you can direct them at Vlad. I'll put all of his contact information below. And yeah, again, prototypes, so there may be some differences here as we come to the full production. If anything, it'll be to improve the knife, not to not to take anything away from it. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. Take care.